To us about all things constitutional. Phephelaphi Dube, thank you so much for joining us today. First of all, what are your first impressions of the makeup of the MPs who will be sworn in today? And I'm talking in terms of gender, age. Is it representative of South Africa?
Well, certainly if one analyzes the lists or the various party lists, it would suggest that this parliament is certainly a lot more representative in terms of gender and indeed in terms of age, because an age-old complaint about South Africa has been the fact that we have a young population and yet the representatives within the National Assembly are old. In fact, I think statistics say that the average age of the members of the National Assembly is 57 years old. But in today's sixth parliament, which is going to be opening today, I think there's a member of parliament who is as young as 21 years old. And of course, when you look at the gender aspect, I think South Africa has always done very well, just in comparison to other countries in the world. It's always done very well in terms of gender representation, and we do see a lot more of this. But of course, the important question that needs to be asked is what exactly what positions do these women hold? What sort of power do they wield within the National Assembly? And I think for me that's where the problem lies, in the sense that we have very few women who actually wield real power, save for the Speaker of the National Assembly, of course. But all in all, I think this is a more representative parliament of South Africa.
But I suppose that boils down to the age-old problem of great policies but lack of implementation, and that goes the same for the role that those key young female MPs will be playing in the House.
Yes, absolutely. And I think it's really an age-old criticism of the South African constitutional order, in the sense that on the one hand, we have a very progressive constitution which speaks to the aspirations of many South Africans. But on the other hand, there's been very little progress in terms of the implementation of these constitutional ideals. But hopefully going forward with this young parliament, we probably should be looking forward to more youth-centered policies coming out of Parliament, and perhaps a renewed drive in terms of ensuring that the executive is held accountable. Just this injection of new blood, especially if we consider the fact that we have more members of Parliament coming from parties like the EFF, like the Freedom Front, for example. So in a sense, it's definitely going to re-energize the debates that are going on in Parliament, in the sense that it takes away the strong majoritarianism which the ANC has hitherto held.
Phephelaphi, while the ruling party has done well in terms of gender parity, it can still and will still face a lot of critique in terms of its youth arm. Represented in the House. They haven't really caught up that much in terms of having younger MPs, vocal younger MPs.
Yes, certainly it would appear that perhaps the ANC, in comparison to perhaps the IFF and the DA to some extent, where these smaller parties or these parties in the opposition appear to have younger blood, so to speak. So I think ultimately that's really the challenge for the ANC going forward. How exactly do they attract newer members? If you consider the ANC youth, the ANC Women's League, for example, where the biggest criticism has been the fact that they are, in essence, advancing a patriarchal gender. So it would appear as if it's a problem that the ANC appears to have, just their inability to attract new young people, and even then their inability to give younger voices a more meaningful say about the policies of the governing party.
Phephelaphi, before I link back to our studio, what are the key issues that you would like to see driven in this sixth parliament?
Well, I think it comes down to the question of accountability. Just how exactly do the members of the National Assembly hold key members of the executive accountable? And of course, it comes down to perhaps the inherent tension which exists in the Constitution, in the sense that we have members of political parties whose membership of the National Assembly is dependent upon them remaining members of their political parties. So in a sense, it becomes very difficult for members of the National Assembly to take a different line from the party line. So in a sense, I do look forward to having a more robust debates around how exactly do we hold members of the executive accountable.
Thank you so much for your time. Well, there we have it. One independent analyst saying she's looking forward to more robust accountability in the House in this sixth parliament. But we're going to cross back to you in the studio now.
Interesting conversation. Thank you very much there to Abra Barbia. My colleague Blaine